Well, first of all, he didn't take himself at all seriously. And that was the great thing. So, you know, you would think that when you meet somebody who's such a deity as that, you're going to have to negotiate an ego and all the stuff that I'm used to in the game.
Yeah.
But he was really interested to meet us because he knew that despite the kind of swagger of Led Zeppelin, the deal was that we were and remain in many respects huge music fans.
Well, what are you guys, what's your music roots? And we all got the same roots, you know. There's sort of blues out of Memphis and Mississippi and stuff. And he said, well, you know, do you do a lot of rehearsals? And of course, Led Zeppelin didn't really show up until the gig was almost over before we actually arrived in those days. And so we didn't do many sound checks, but when we did, I used to like to sing in those big arenas, his songs, because they sounded even bigger.
I collect records by Elvis impersonators, and I've got the entire collection of Ral Donner tracks. And he was a guy out of New York, an Italian, who had some hits in the early 60s. And I asked him how he felt about that, just like people ask me how I feel about guys who sound like me, you know? Except he was the king and I'm not. So I asked him about Ral Donner, and I told him I got all Ral's records. And he said one day he was in New York and this big limousine came down the street in the village, and he turned and Elvis was walking down the street, and he turned and looked in the car, and in the back window it said, "This car belongs to the real Ral Donner," which I thought was great.